Good morning to all of you. Today we will study the space and technology. Space technology is a part of the science and technology. Space technology is very much important in the prelims as well as the mains examinations. And space technology, if we analyze the last 5 years UPSC paper, space technology is very much dominated in prelims and the mains. At least one question will be asking every year in the space technology from basics and as well as the some application based questions are there. So to understand the space technology, we have to just understand some basic concepts such as what is space, what is orbit, what are the different types of orbit, and the Lagrangian point. So these are the very key important concepts to helpful for the understanding betterment in the space technology and also to understand what's going on in our day-to-day life. And also if we read daily newspaper that various space agencies are launching their satellites into the different orbits, and also understands the importance of earth, evolution of earth, and also the study of universe. So these are the key concepts for understanding the space technology. And what are the key concepts? Such as what is space, first topic. The second topic is this: what is orbit and different types of orbit. Different types of orbit and the Lagrangian point. If we analyze the last couple of years of the UPSC prelims question paper, at least one question asking from this area. From this area is very much important for the prelims. So we will discuss one by one these topics as the later part of this lecture. So let's start it. What is space? We have started. What is space? What is space? To understand the space, we have to just refer some geographical concepts. We have studies in the geography that different layers of the atmospheres, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesospheres and thermospheres and exospheres. So we have to just refer the some geographical different layers of the atmosphere to understand the space. Different layers of the atmosphere, that is the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. These are the some geographical concepts, basic concepts. To understand the space, various scientists, researchers draw an imaginary line in the thermosphere, which is imaginary line in the thermospheres to define the space, which is 100 kilometer from the sea level, imaginary line, which line is called as Kármán line, which is known as Kármán line, which is 100 kilometers from the sea level. Or this imaginary line, it is on the thermospheres. Above this line, it's called space. Below this line, it's called atmosphere. To understand the space, this area is called as, or this region is called as space. So we can define the space. It is a region or area above the Kármán line. So we can define as a space, it is an area or region above the Kármán line, or Kármán line, it is a imaginary line which is a height of 100 kilometers from the sea level. So this is called space. All the activities in the space technologies are happening in this area, and we have studied this area broadly in the later part of this lecture. So we will understand next topic, that is called orbit. What is orbit? In simple words, orbit means, in simple words, a body which revolves around the another body. It's called its orbit. Orbit means it is a path in which a body revolves around the another body. But in the space, we can define orbit is that in space, a body, a path in which a celestial body revolves the another celestial body, it's called its orbit. Take an example for it. This is sun, this is earth. Earth revolves around the sun in this path, so it is called its orbit. Take another example. It is Jupiter, which is also revolving around the sun, so it is called its orbit. So we can define orbit is, it is a path in which a celestial body revolves around another celestial body. A celestial body revolves another celestial body. It's called orbit. Here, Earth is revolving around the sun in a particular orbit. We can say that it is a elliptical, in an elliptical manner. So we can say that it is an elliptical orbit. In the same way, Moon, Earth, Moon also revolving around the Earth also there. So in the same way, various satellites are launching by the various space agencies, revolves around the Earth to understand the Earth and the universe also. We have know about that Kato series. You know about that NASA is also sending the various satellites in the various orbits. So that is why we have to study the various types of orbits. So what are that orbits? Different types of orbits. Different types of orbit. That is, various scientists and also researchers divided the space into the various orbits to understand the Earth and the expansion of the universe, and also understand the also explain the Big Bang theory. So these are the imaginary orbits. And what are that orbits? Low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, geosynchronous orbit, polar orbit, geotransfer orbit. These are the types of the orbit. Before we will understand all these orbits, we have to just understand some key important concepts. We know about that. We have know about that. This is Sun and this is Earth. All the planets are revolving around the Sun. Jupiter also around revolving around the sun. We know that earth is taking revolving time around the sun 1 year, that is 365 days. We do not consider here 6 hours, just approximately 365 days or 1 year. And Jupiter takes one revolution of the sun around 12 years. So from here, we can analyze one concept or understand one concept, that the object which is near to the sun taking less revolution time with respect to Jupiter taking longer revolution time. In the same way, satellites also revolving into the different orbits, also taking the different times. We will understand better. We can understand in the here. Imagine this is the Earth. One satellite here, one satellite here. So here, this satellite, it is very much near to the Earth, so taking the lesser revolution time, and satellites here taking longer revolution time, same as here, that Earth taking revolution time to the sun is 1 year, 365 days, and Jupiter taking the revolution time for the sun 12 years. So in the same way, we have to the satellites near to the Earth taking lesser revolution time, and satellite which is farther away from the Earth taking the longer revolution time. So this concept is very much important. And also let's start with the various types of orbits. First one is the different types of orbits. Here, this is Earth, this is space 160 kilometer to the 2000 kilometer, and this is 35785 kilometer, approximately 36 kilometer. So this area, this region is called low Earth orbit, and this area or region we can say that medium Earth orbit, or at this height altitude we can say that it is a geosynchronous orbit. So satellites here in the low Earth orbit, as we studied earlier, that object near to the Earth taking longer revolution time, and the satellites or the objects, celestial bodies far from the Earth taking longer revolution time. So here the satellites here, the low Earth orbit taking more revolution times, and the satellites here in the various orbits in the medium Earth orbit taking the longer revolution times. So we have to discuss first one is the geosynchronous. Geosynchronous orbit. Here we know that Earth is rotating in its own axis around and taking one rotation around 24 hours. Earth is rotating in its own axis 24 hours. Earth is rotating in its own axis and also revolving around the sun also there. So at that here. Geosynchronous orbit here 35 735. In this orbit, if we launch the satellites and put it on this orbit, it is taking the same time as the Earth is also rotating the same time. That is a 24 hours. Here, satellites is taking the same time with respect to Earth rotation time. So that is what we can say that 24 hours. So in this orbit, the satellite is taking the same time with respect to Earth's rotation time, that is the 24 hours. So take this, Earth is here, this is geosynchronous orbit, and this is a satellite. Earth is rotating, satellite is also rotating. Earth is rotating, satellite also rotating. If we see the from here, one person is seeing the satellites. So from that person, the satellite is constant to every time and every day, because Earth is also rotating, satellite also rotating. So from here, the satellite is also the exactly the same for the one particular locations. So this orbit is very much important for our communication satellites, telecommunication satellites, and giving the signals to the antennas. So this orbit is very much important in the geosynchronous orbit. Here there is a some category also there. If that is, what is the subcategory for here? Subcategory here, that is geostationary orbit. There is a subcategory for geosynchronous, that is called geostationary orbit. What is that? Geostationary orbit. It is a subcategory of geosynchronous orbit. Let's see. This is the Earth, and this is the geosynchronous orbit, and this is a satellite, and this is the equator. If the satellite is placing on the geosynchronous orbit, and as well as also putting on the equator here, it's called geostationary. Geostationary means station, means here one location here, put it on the here. We can another the satellites, equator, and it is putting here. Examine this area, only equator. Earth is rotating, satellite is also rotating with the rotation time of the Earth. And if we analyze the equator, so place on the equator, so station means one particular location we will there. So this orbit is called geostationary orbit, which is a orbit which is placed in a equator. So we analyze this area equator, we analyze this area, we analyze this area. So but at a particular time the satellite is constant here also, but it is on the equator line. So we have to use, so you have to see that various dish TVs, various signals are, if we see that so we will see the, we will see the various dish TVs that is putting in our home. So if we see the our antenna in our dish TV, so they will put it in the southward directions. Why it is southward directions? Because here, because this is earth, this is equator, and this is India. So here equator geostationary satellites placed here. So our dish TV antenna will be putting on the southward directions to helping the signals and to understand the various communications, and also understands the various regions, and helpful to how this area is changing with respect to time. So this orbit is very much important for the geostationary orbit. So let's understand the another orbit that is called low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit means Earth here 160 kilometer to the 2000 kilometer. So this is called low Earth orbit. Here all the satellites here are very much near to the Earth, so they taking more revolution times. But here the, if we place our satellites from this region, the pictures taken by this orbit, because it is very much near to the Earth, so the pictures are very clear. So our Earth observation satellites are, maximum Earth observation satellites are placed in the low Earth orbit, because they were better to understand the Earth and also the resources available in the Earth. So all the Cartosat series satellites are placed here, and some satellites communications also placed here, such as various armed forces uses the satellite phones. So some satellites also placed from this orbit also there. So in this orbit, maximum Earth observation satellites are placed here to understand the Earth. And last, polar orbit. If this is, we have to, all the orbits are analyzed, the Earth, the equator, and their latitude. But if we analyze the north and south area of the Earth, north and south pole, that is north and the south, that is the pole. So from that one, it is called polar orbit. Here the satellites, here it is a placed here, and to analyze this area, north and south area, so that orbit is called polar orbit, to understand the polar regions like north and south. And all the above, that is synchronous, geostationary, are understanding the our horizontal, means equator, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn will be understand this. But for this area, the poles, our longitudinal also analyzes. It will help under our to understand the Earth in various dimensions. And the last one is the GTO, Geo Transfer Orbit. GTO, geo transfer orbit. Here, this is Earth and this is the low Earth orbit and this is the geosynchronous orbit. If we have to launch a satellite from here and place here, so we have to use this, we have to cross this orbit also and also place here. So for transferring this from one orbit to the another orbit, there is a one orbit that is called a geo transfer orbit. That it is a orbit, it is an orbit in which one in which satellites transfer from one orbit to the another orbit. That is called here. From one orbit to the another orbit, geo transfer orbit. So it is very helpful. Our recently Mangalyaan using this orbit from lower Earth orbit to the geosynchronous orbit and from geosynchronous orbit to the Mangalyaan, means Mangal Grah. So that transfer orbit helpful for that purposes from purposes, that is one orbit to the another orbit. And the last one is our Lagrangian point. Lagrangian point. Here, this is Earth, this is Moon, and this is Sun. Lagrangian points are those points in which the two bodies' gravitational pull are constant. This is very much technical, so I can simplify for you. That is Earth, Moon, Sun. It has own gravitational pull. It has own gravitational pull. It has own gravitational pull. Means खींचता है एक दूसरे को ये because of gravity. But in space, because it is a space, there are various points in which these gravitational pull are equalized to each other. Here, in these points, their gravitational pull equalize to each other. So equalize to each other from, so here if we put here the satellite, so that satellite, it is not moving, it is stationary for here and also analyzing the sun, earth and also the universe. So recently our James Webb telescope, it is putting here, that is another, that is called Lagrangian point denoted by L, that is 1, 3, 4, there are the 5 we can mark it. So our recently development of the James Webb put it here because here their gravitational pull equalize to each other and also the understanding the universe and also earth and another celestial bodies. So these points are very much important. Our Aditya L1, that is the study of the sun, it is putting on the L1 in ISRO's. So these are the various key concepts which are very helpful to understand the space technology and also helpful to understand the universe also. and their applications is very much important in our day-to-day life. So thank you.